welcome. You're watching News 9. This is Business Plus. We're bringing you stories from the world of business, policy and economy. We're starting this bulletin on a not so very positive news this afternoon. Adani Group stocks and Adani Group is back in news once again. Allegations have once again surfaced that have resulted in Adani Group stocks tumbling and setting, in fact, political corridors abuzz. The Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, also known as OCCRP, an investigative project, alleges that hundreds and millions of dollars were invested in publicly traded Adani Group stocks through Mauritius-based opaque investment funds. Now, these funds in turn were partners of promoter family. They were related to the promoter family. The fresh allegations by an organization that is funded by likes of George Soros and Rockefeller Brothers Fund comes month after US short seller Hindenburg alleged stock price manipulation and accounting fraud that wiped away close to $150 billion in value for all Adani Group stocks. Now, Adani Group has denied all allegations made in Hindenburg as well as made by OCCRP. We are tracking Adani Group stocks. We're also tracking all these developments that are going to be a buzz not just today but for the coming next few days. A lot of action that is coming by the way of Adani Group stocks. We'll try and also bring you the latest as far as stock market is concerned. With me in the studio at this point in time are my colleagues Krishnakumar and Suyash Maheshwari. Let me first begin by asking you, Krishna, essentially, what we know so far are allegations and, of course, a rebuttal that is coming in from the Adani Group. But all focus, of course, remains solely and corely on Adani at this point in time. Serious allegations at that.
Oh, absolutely. And it's been 8 months since the Hindenburg research report came out. And 8 months after that comes this OCCRP report, which has caused as much damage, the same kind of damage that the Hindenburg report caused the Adani Group stocks. As you saw what happened when markets opened for trade this morning, Adani Group stocks on average, all of them down 4 to 5% in the red right upon markets opening. So this is, Armageddon 2.0 as far as Adani stocks are concerned. That's how devastating the impact has been. Bear in mind, Adani in their rebuttal has said that the markets were in fact expecting this kind of a negative report to come out either way, and that you saw about what 35,000 crore rupees worth of market value being lost in yesterday's trading session on Wednesday, because there was a lot of buzz about the fact that there could be something to this effect that was going to come. So Adani Group in that statement making that point that we were sort of expecting this, and this in a sense takes off from where the Hindenburg report left, and essentially saying the fact that if the Hindenburg report has no merit to it, then there's absolutely no merit to the OCCRP report as well. So that's been the Adani Group's rebuttal. But for now, stocks in a tailspin.
All right, we'll also try and get you an update on how stock ended. Suyash, run us through how stocks ended. They were as low as 4%, at least Adani Enterprises, Adani Ports, Adani Power, all of them were in the red today.
Yes, Shweta. So most Adani Group stocks, in fact, barring ACC, ended today's session deep in the red. Now, Adani Enterprises, Adani Transmission, Adani Ports were among the top losers. They fell nearly 3% each. Now, the losses were about 4 to 5% as in the morning trade, as Krishna mentioned. But we saw some buying activity at lower levels. And as a result, Adani Group and at least Adani Enterprises and Adani Ports recouped some losses, and they were able to end, although just slightly above the day's low, but still deep in the red with losses of about 3%. ACC was the only stock that ended today's session in the green. It was up about 0.2%, whereas all other stocks fell 3 to 4% in today's trade.
All right, all stocks in the red. It's a sea of red, as Krishna often calls it. Let's quickly get in our expert who's joining us at this point in time, Avinash, Gorakshakar, Director Research, Profitmart, Securities, with us here in the studio. Avinash, thanks very much for taking time out. I want to first begin by asking, what's your view of the Adani Group stocks? A sea of red there. Is it just a sell-off that the market was expecting at the moment, or as we are reading into it, it's because of the massive reports that has come out and perhaps some sort of jitters there for investors all across the world?
So I think, Shweta, my sense is that it was a big negative surprise which the market was not expecting at all. In fact, this OCRB report which has come out is now another negative surprise, at least for the Adani Group in the very near term, because until and unless the dust settles down and things don't get more clarity, I think the markets are now wanting a clear solution for all this. Hindenburg report had come out. There was some expectation that this report did not contain anything negative for the Adani Group. But this second report, which has come out, clearly points out that a lot of offshore entities were involved in buying of Adani Group, stocks. So I think this is now something which the markets will take some more time to digest. Across the board, I would say that you're going to see a lot of volatility in these counters at least for the next few months. It's not going to be easy for this event to be wiped out that easily. Although the management has refuted all the claims, I believe the market would obviously take its own time to digest this, and I think you're going to see a lot of volatility in the coming few months. So I think definitely this is not good for the markets also, because whenever Adani Group stocks fall, they have a negative impact on the broad market sentiment, and that is exactly what happened today, which was obviously also the monthly expiry day. So both these factors played, against the market sentiment.
Avinash, just one thing before we move any further. I just want to understand at this stage, how much more damning is the OCCRP report as compared to the Hindenburg research report? Because both of them allude to the same thing, which is offshore tax havens, opaque offshore tax havens from where money has been routed into Adani Group stocks in the Indian markets. I just want to understand if everybody thought Hindenburg was the most damning thing possible, and now comes this OCCRP, which is making it even more clear, if not less.
So I think, Krishna, it's difficult to quantify how much further damage, but I think at least in the very near term, I would not expect a significant, upside or any kind of re-rating for the Adani Group stocks, because I think till the time, there is a sense of clarity. I think now the regulator also needs to come out with a kind of a more clearer statement as to what kind of angles are there in this report. Although, most of the allegations are common, I think this second report is definitely little, negative from the market standpoint of view. So I think you could see a little bit of weakness in these stocks for the next few weeks. Afterwards, of course, we have been seeing that, very large, investors like GQQ have invested in these companies. Now, if some kind of follow-up buying comes in, then I think that could be a little relief for these stocks. Otherwise, I think these stocks are going to follow a negative trend, at least for the near term. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a further correction here. So it's better to stay away from this kind of group stocks for some more time.
And Shweta, even if you look at it, as Avinash and Krishna said, there is not much new in the new report, and even OCCRP just named 2 individuals, and even then they are saying that there is no direct evidence that they got their money for their investments from the Adani Group. Yeah. But the documentation suggests that they were in cohorts. So,
but no, I think therefore it's important to set context. Yeah. And Krishna, perhaps if you could help set context. Yeah. The allegations are that there are certain opaque structures, funds that have invested in Adani Group, and these opaque structures are in fact run by people who were previously associated with not just Gautam Adani but Vinod Adani, the elder brother of Gautam Adani. So essentially alluding to the fact that Adani Group was investing in its own stocks through these opaque structures. Those are serious allegations, because remember, SEBI has been actually investigating those allegations, have been looking into these opaque structures and hasn't been able to pinpoint on what the ownership is. This report actually pins out the ownership, and not just pins out the ownership, also establishes the relationship between the ownership and the Adani Group.
Yes, but then again, that is incidental. You're talking about 2 individuals who were board members of Gautam Adani's elder brother's companies once upon a time. And, and those individuals, there is still no direct link between what those individuals do with the Adani Group of companies. So, I mean, even now, it is conjecture to a certain extent. It's still difficult. This report still doesn't tell the exact trail between whether these 2 individuals that they have named directly invested, what the money that they handle directly was invested into the Adani stocks. My point here is that if you want to put it into context, both the Hindenburg report and this report essentially talks about the same kind of routing of money, international routing of money through tax havens. It's not even like 2 different allegations. What strikes very similar is that they are very similar allegations. And this one, they have spelled out the exact tax haven, which is Mauritius. They didn't say general tax havens. We're talking about a Mauritius tax haven. These 2 individuals who
and 4 companies and funds that have invested in Adani Group.
Exactly. So the only link that is yet to be figured out is that was the promoter company directly involved in channeling these funds into their stocks. That link, even this report doesn't definitively establish. There is enough and more evidence to show the fact that these two individuals have been associated with the Adani family for a very long time, and they themselves are players in the market. So, I mean, yes, I mean, if you write a movie script, you know what the climax of this is. But unfortunately, this is not a movie script. This is real life.
Okay.
SEBI's report that you're talking about, Shweta, I think we all have to wait for what SEBI's report is going to say, and more importantly, how SEBI's report could change with the findings of this new OCCRP report, OCCPR report as well. So I'm really interested to know how SEBI is going to incorporate these latest findings into its report. Bear in mind that hearing at the Supreme Court
has been deferred.
We don't have a real date on us. So there is a report that has been submitted by SEBI on the 25th of August to the Supreme Court of India. We don't know the contents of that report. And now comes this. Point here is that SEBI is watching all of this. So whether SEBI will say, dear Supreme Court, hold on for a second, we need to redo this report and bring it back to you. We don't know.
Okay. And to add, again, to give some context to our viewers, why this opaque structure is such a big deal. Now, two things, because if Adani Group is able to trade in their stocks through these tax havens or opaque structures, their activity will not fall on the radar of regulators as well as retail investors, so they won't be able to track.
Right, and I want to understand why opaque structures is a problem.
Exactly. So
so let's also get Avinash into this conversation. Avinash, essentially from a markets regulation point of view, what is the problem? Is the problem that these structures are opaque structures, or the fact that people managing these opaque structures have relations with Adani Group? What exactly is the legal and moral compunction here?
No, I think the key question is most of these opaque structures have been working, hand in glove with the Adani Group, as the report suggests. And I think, as Krishna pointed out, I think now the markets would be looking at the SEBI report, in the light of the new development which has come out of late. So I think, is the report going to change, or is there any material, development going to happen post this, issue? So I think this is something which the markets should be looking at very closely, because I think now the report assumes even more importance, and I think the markets should be looking at the findings of the SEBI report very closely. And till that time, I think you're going to see a very negative kind of trend in these companies, because it's a question of credibility. The management has put it out very clearly that they have rebooked all the claims coming in this report. But I think it's finally the SEBI report which will make the final verdict. So I think it's better to wait and watch. But at least from a stock market point of view, we feel that at least the next few months, or maybe another couple of quarters, the volatility in these stocks is going to increase, and we may not see any big re-rating happening.
Volatility is going to increase. There may not be a re-rating. Essentially, that's the view coming in as far as markets is concerned. What's the broader impact going to be on Nifty and Sensex as a result of Adani Group stocks taking a beating? Will there be a massive impact, Avinash, that we're anticipating?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned to you that all these businesses are Adani Group stocks are very solid businesses. But I think if you look at the broader market today, the Nifty was down by almost 100 odd points. The Sensex was down by almost 200 odd points. So I think whenever we see a negative kind of trend in most of these Adani Group stocks, we find that the broader market also attracts a heavy selling. So I think you're going to see even the broader market actually getting impacted if this negative trend in Adani stock continues. And I would not be surprised that the markets could attract a further level of profit booking, or maybe a little bit of liquidation in the light of these negative developments. So I think till the time the SEBI report doesn't come in, my sense is the markets are going to be on a slippery wicket. We were not expecting this negative surprise at all from the Adani Group, and I think this has happened, very, very suddenly. And this is something which the market has not liked. Anything which happens, suddenly and without any proper notice is definitely something which the market doesn't like. And I think this is going to take a lot of time to digest. So I think the broader market are also going to be impacted. Plus, Adani Group stocks are going to be slightly under pressure. I would not be surprised that despite good financials in Adani Ports, Adani Wilmar, Adani Enterprises, these are stocks, where people would now start doubting the numbers. So I think it's, better to wait and watch for some time before the dust settles down.
All right, better to wait and watch. That's the word coming in from Avinash. Avinash, stay with us since we're talking about Adani Group stocks and Gautam Adani in particular. Let's also track the trajectory that billionaire today has seen since inception of Adani Enterprises, the parent company of Adani Group, what sort of inception that Adani and Gautam Adani and his companies have seen, how far they have grown, what sort of stock impacts and major key events that the group has witnessed since its inception. So over to you, Suyash.
So Shweta, when you talk about self-made billionaires in India, the name of Gautam Adani is perhaps the first name that comes to mind. Now, Gautam Shantilal Adani was born in a family of textile merchants. However, the young Gautam wasn't interested in his father's business and instead moved to Mumbai in the 1980s to work in the diamond industry. Adani's first big break came in 1981 when his older brother purchased a plastic unit in Ahmedabad and invited the 19-year-old Gautam to handle operations. The venture created a gateway for Adani to global trading via PVC imports. Now, in 1993, Adani founded Adani Enterprises, which was formerly known as Adani Exports. Now, initially the company primarily focused on trading of power and agricultural commodities. However, it wasn't until 2000 that the group embarked on an ambitious journey of diversification. Now, this era marked the group's entry into sectors such as power generation, agri-businesses and infrastructure development projects. And by the end of 2010, Adani Group's relentless pursuit of growth led to a substantial increase in its market value, and the conglomerate's strategic investment and successful ventures also helped it diversify across sectors such as ports, power, agri-business, business. Now, simultaneously, Adani's close relationship with Prime Minister Narendra Modi drew scrutiny, leading to allegations of cronyism. Now, the conglomerate secured number of infrastructure and energy contracts both domestically and internationally following Modi's assumption of office. Now, one of the standout chapters in the Adani Group's rise was its foray into renewable energy. In early 2020, the group placed strong emphasis on sustainability by venturing into renewable energy projects. Adani Green, a subsidiary of the company, emerged as a global leader in the renewable energy space. This move not only aligned the global environment trends but also positioned the group as a frontrunner in India's transition to cleaner energy sources. By January 2023, Gautam Adani's wealth had surged, making him the richest man in Asia and the third richest man in the world. And then came the Hindenburg report. On January 25, the New York-based forensic research firm released the result of its long-term investigation, calling the conglomerate the largest con in corporate history. In the aftermath of the report, the stocks of the Adani Group experienced a significant decline, witnessing a loss of $150 billion in market value. Now, despite a subsequent recovery over the past few months, during which the group has repaid portions of its debt and managed to restore some of investors' confidence, the stocks are still down approximately $100 billion below its previous levels. And as we saw today, the stocks took a beating once again once the report and the allegations that were highlighted by Hindenburg and now OCCRP came to light, and the stocks were down 3 to 4% in today's trade.
Stocks were down 3 to 4% in today's trade. Thanks very much, Suyash, for summing that up. That, of course, is the journey, Krishna, of Gautam Adani, the man as we know him, the man as he has been portrayed to be in the media, and the man that made himself to be a billionaire and, in fact, not just envied for his wealth, but also envied for the diversity in his businesses. All of that, in fact, in a sense, came to a halt, and a screeching halt suddenly on 24th of January when Hindenburg report made some very serious damning allegations. Since then, a part of that wealth has been recuperated, but the stocks, and correct me if I'm wrong, the market cap of all Adani Group companies is still down by about $100 billion. So they haven't really gone back to pre-Hindenburg level just as yet. And all of this, of course, is going to again weigh in on the group's 35,000 crore rupees lost in market cap in just 24 hours. So big numbers there as far as the market cap of all Adani Group companies is concerned. Another interesting point to note perhaps will be the performance of PSU stocks, because Adani, PSU stocks and Adani Group have a relation, Suyash.
Yes, so the exposure of the PSU banks to the Adani Group has raised concerns, and as a result, the PSU banking stocks plummeted today. Now Nifty PSU index was a top loser in today's trade. It was down over 1%. So we are to see what impact, and if we have Avinash still with us.
Yes, we do.
Avinash, what will be the way forward for PSU banking stocks, especially since they had been outperformers in the recent run?
No, I think clearly, this is a sentimental fall which you are seeing in the PSU banking stocks. See, I think clearly earlier also SBI, which was one of the key lenders to the Adani Group, has clearly said that, most of their assets are backed by proper assets and basically large cash flow generating, assets. So I don't think there's going to be any negative surprise as far as defaults are concerned or non-repayment of loans are concerned. Although leverage on the books of Adani is significant, but they have made a conscious effort after the Hindenburg report that leverage has come down, the promoter pledging has come down. So I think on that point, my sense is that we may not see any catastrophe kind of sell-off, on the PSU banking stocks. This is just a sentimental kind of fall, and I think probably markets are possibly pessimistic on the banking, especially the PSU banking piece. But I would be quite confident that most of the assets which the banks have actually taken exposure are very strong cash flow generating assets, and I don't think you're going to see a liquidity issue coming in, at least in the very near term.
All right, and since we'll have to let you go, Avinash, very, very shortly, let's also quickly get Suyash to help us understand how markets closed this afternoon. Lots of data that is expected this evening, 5:30. GDP numbers will be out. Current accounts and deficit numbers are expected to be out later this week. All of that, of course, weighing in on the markets.
Definitely, Shweta. And as a result, the market has turned extremely volatile. Now, yesterday we saw the benchmarks opened almost 0.5% higher. But then we saw the both indices, Sensex, Nifty, pairing all the losses and closing near its near-term support of 19,350. Even today, the selling extended and Nifty was not only closed below 19,300 levels, but it also was only closed marginally above the 19,250 levels.
Okay.
Even the Sensex was down about 0.41% and it closed just above 64,800 levels. The Nifty and the mid-cap, Nifty, small cap and the mid-cap space were the outliers in today's segment, and they were able to close.
Were the outliers for a while now?
They have been outliers for a while, but the space has also been volatile. So we see a percentage rise one day and then there's some correction over there. But consistently over the last few months, in fact over the last 1.5 years, Nifty mid-cap and the small cap space has been outperforming the benchmarks.
All right, let's also get in Avinash to weigh in on the big numbers that are in fact anticipated, I'm told, in just about 10 minutes from now, as opposed to 5:30 we initially thought, Avinash. Those numbers are much awaited by markets, various estimations coming in. Will it be 8%? Will it be 8.3%? I mean, obviously, anywhere above 8% is good.
No, definitely above 8% is good, but my sense is that probably this number may slightly be below the market expectations because of the base effect playing out. But I think one has to keep in mind that I think on a kind of a very strong growth trajectory going forward, I think the markets would obviously like to know what are the other pieces of macro data coming in. Like the trade deficit has come down quite significantly. I think India has been cleverly buying cheaper crude from a variety of countries. So I think going forward, my sense is that the numbers post September are going to be more important, and I think at least the markets are more concerned about the inflationary data points. This is one number point which I think the markets are yet struggling whether this will come off post September or will continue. But I think the recent trends in the monsoons are clearly depicting that food inflation is going to be a bigger culprit.
Avinash, Nifty has, like both indices, the volatility has spiked recently, and as we saw after opening 0.5% higher yesterday, we saw a bearish takeover of sorts, and as a result market collapsed and it was trading near its support levels. Even today we saw the selling extend. So do you expect the near term trend at least to be bearish?
Avinash, we
And I
can't hear
think if
you.
we do not maintain that level, then we could probably go below 19,000. I'm not a technical analyst, but I think broadly, the markets have been struggling for the last 3 to 4 weeks to go on the upside. And I think FIF flows have moderated. I think there are not many very large triggers in the markets because most of the earnings season numbers are completely over. So I think if there is no follow-up buying, from the funds, and there is no positive surprise, especially from the macro numbers which we are expecting today, then I think you could expect some further selling. But I think, obviously my sense is 19,000 is going to be a strong support level. As long as that holds on, I think we could hope that some bounce back could come in.
And what about the banking space? As we were talking about Nifty, PSU Bank, Nifty Bank also ended today's session below 44,000, and it has been a rather underperformer in the past 1 month, falling about 4%. Do you expect the underperformance or rather the correction to continue?
I think both the bank Nifty and the Nifty, my senses cannot, work out in opposite directions. And I think the bank Nifty also would obviously logically, have a negative kind of bias, at least for the very near term. At least for the next couple of weeks, I think we'll have to see how the bank Nifty performs. But overall, I think the structure as of now looks pretty weak. And I think you could expect some further selling if at all, some macro numbers don't come out as per expectation. Then obviously the Adani Group, the issue doesn't get resolved very quickly, because this is an issue which has just happened today. And I think if there are some further news flows which comes out in the coming few weeks, then I think that could impact the bank Nifty and most of the PSU banking stocks, at least in the very near term.
All right, Avinash, thanks very much for joining in this afternoon, for weighing in on what the markets are expecting. Inflation numbers, of course, are going to either help or hurt. Also, GDP numbers just about to come out in 1 hour from now is going to be significant to watch out for. Avinash, thanks very much for joining this afternoon.